Coaching as we know it is dying, and honestly, it truly needs to. The whole coaching industry and system has gotten out of hand with all of these coaches coaching coaches how to coach coaches. And what's broken about this is it's so reliant on what has worked for someone else must work for you. And that is not the case at all. There's so much nuance to everyone's personal journey of expansion and creating a life that they desire. So in this video, I want to talk about what went wrong with sort of the coaching industry, my observations, and then I want to dive into what I see as the new paradigm of this industry and speak to you if this is something that you've been exploring or you were involved in, and how you can set yourself up for success in the shifting economy of coaching. So the initial intention of coaching, I think, started off amazing, right? It was a sacred space for deep transformation, embodiment, and self-discovery. Now, people might not have consciously called it that. I understand. But in essence, I think that was sort of the root of it. You think of like Tony Robbins and things like that. It was really about helping people get deeply into their body and just to dissolve these fundamental constraints that have been living their life. But what went wrong is all of these sort of cookie cutter frameworks and this over strategization of you do X, Y, and Z and you'll finally have the life that you love. You'll finally have the successful business, relationship, whatever it is. And what this shift lacked was depth. Because some person learned from some guy their strategy, and they a week later tried to teach their strategy to someone else, and it just goes down the Ponzi scheme line for as far as you can say, far as you can see, until somebody says, enough, I'm not paying for that shit. So another big problem is people seeking answers outside of themselves. This is something I see all the time in the coaching sphere, is people are claiming to have the answers that you need to succeed through the problem that you're facing. It's like, no, like that's bullshit. Helping someone develop their true sovereignty and discovering their own answers to life that they know deep inside themselves is the premise of what it means to facilitate, which is what coaches do, deep transformation. And then don't even get me started about the rise of AI and automation, just making all these generic sort of content and whatever. It just makes coaching obsolete, you know? And I'm sure you've seen all of the ads pop up on YouTube of people saying, I'll help you do X, Y, and Z in 30 days. And sure, maybe, like, of course, it must be working because they're running ad money, right? They're blowing so much money on ads. So I'm not to knock that they haven't found what works for them. But is it being of true service and impact in a reflection of the depth they wish to create in life? That's a different story. So I want to talk about what this new paradigm might become and what I see unfolding. Now, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not someone who's like a full-time coach. That's not my gig. I love facilitating. I love helping people break free, but I'm not one of those coaches screaming on the mountains saying this is how you do it. I'm more so interested in helping people just really discover their authentic blueprint and just being more of a facilitator and a vessel of reflection to help them do that. So as I see it, I don't think coaching is dying. I just think it's evolving. I think that the real future belongs to the facilitators of deep presence, deep nervous system attunement, and true embodiment. I find that that has always been the most impactful gifts that I have received from coaches, mentors, and therapists, is truly the deep presence that they embody, their ability to co-regulate with me so that I have the borrowed capacity to be deep in my body, to be working through the limitations that are so encoded in my nervous system to where I find my own answers, you know. Think of the reframe from less expert advice to more nervous system co-regulation. that's just what I find is like the most impactful. Nervous system co-regulation, like deep witnessing of someone, like truly sometimes people just really need to be fully witnessed in their experience, their struggles, and their celebrations, right? And then there's a bit of what I call like intuitive guidance in there. When you interact with someone, you start to see what they can't see in themselves, and there's some intuitive sort of guidance that can be lended. But that is so secondary to just the space holding, the meeting the depths of their experience and helping them through your nervous system discover the strength and the safety to be able to confront and sort of dissolve those limitations. And again, I think people really crave true, real human connection, not just a script, not a sales funnel, not a framework, not any of that. I've just personally never resonated with that. Some of it is, provoked some curiosity, people that are doing it in a more attuned way. But for the most part, 99% of that, to me, is bullshit. Not to discredit that it doesn't work for them and other people. It's just, I'm here for something deeper. I'm really here for deeper presence. And luckily this is, or maybe not luckily, it's just a facet of what I do. It's not my everything. So I get to have more of my heart and passion inside of it without the neediness. That's another thing. I see people that are so called to become coaches, but they haven't just given the spaciousness of what it means to really, really deeply start to embody their full authentic selves by doing the hard, painful, deep inner work. You can't rush that. And while you don't need to be perfect, you certainly need to take your own journey seriously. And the problem is that I see someone goes to do a weekend workshop with someone that they admire, and then they try to use what they learned and use that as a vessel of making money out in the world. And look, not to shit on that idea, it's just, is that embodied, is that authentic? You don't need to be perfect, you just have to be willing to be devoted to your own work. And when you're devoted to your own work, people naturally gravitate towards you because they see your embodiment. And that's truly the greatest sort of marketing strategy you can have is your presence, your embodiment, right? So if you do any sort of consulting, I do mostly consulting for creative business, but I take the approach of helping people expand from the inside out to learn about what's really running the show, working with that and seeing how that manifests in their business. That's sort of the consulting and coaching that I do. But if you do any type of coaching or consulting, how do you adapt to this sort of new paradigm of guidance and facilitation? So for me, I think that the big shift occurs from formula and framework to embodied, attuned transformation. People don't want to pay for information, they pay for transformation. Every time I've invested in myself, it's not to access the information that is secretly kept away from me. It's not. You have everything you can want in the world. You can chat GPT your heart's desire away, right? But true transformation is facilitated with humans, with a deep devotion to yourself. And that requires you focusing on your presence over your performance. And that's really where your nervous system is the tool that you are using to impact the world. The state of your nervous system determines the quality of your life. And when you give your nervous system as a gift to the world, i.e., you've met such depths inside of yourself and have expanded your window of tolerance to where you can loan some of your nervous system to the people that you are helping facilitate transformation, that's priceless. That is so priceless in an age that's becoming increasingly distracted, speedy, and dysregulated. Because from there, we really are able to help people connect with their own inner intelligence. We're not giving them strategies, we're giving them the extra capacity to discover for themselves what it means for them to be sovereign and free, and to integrate all of the the deeper, darker, harder things that are often the limits to people's potential, you know? So if you're someone who has relied on coaches, you know, I encourage you to, if you found a great one, stay with it, but practice trusting your own wisdom first. A pattern I've fallen into that I see so many people fall into is we want to be validated. It's a natural human desire, but we want to know we're on the right path, and we want to be validated on that path. So we go to our mentors and go to our coaches or seek out help and spend all this money for someone just to tell us to do what's already on our heart. And while that's necessary, sometimes I get it, the lesson inside of that is learning to trust our innate wisdom. The answer is not out there, it's always with us. And to move forward, seek mentors that are men and women of depth, not just about people who will help you cultivate success. I think success is a byproduct of deep presence, but that's a story for another day, or all the other videos I've made on it. I've made tons on that. But I think that's really what the world craves, and what has helped me expand, and if you're watching this will probably help you expand, is mentors who embody depth, who aren't about telling you what to do, but are helping you ask yourself the right questions so that you can get to your own innate wisdom. Because when you help people connect with their own inner intelligence, you become so much more valuable, you know? And if you feel connected to your own inner intelligence by proxy of someone else's space holding, that's a really valuable person to have in your life. So stop outsourcing your own knowingness, or curiosity even, in the forms of your creativity and intuition, and start to really learn to self-source, or to really look for embodiment in the world around you, especially if you want to become any sort of coach or consultant, to focus on your embodiment. You know, the deeper you can express your creativity, trust your intuition, and expand your nervous system capacity, those are going to be your best teachers, and why people come to you for what you can uniquely offer the world. So all this to say, I don't believe coaching is dead. I believe that it's experiencing a much needed redesign, a rebirth, you know. You can't just put lipstick on a pig, like you gotta tear it down and rebuild it. So those who can embody deep presence, who can guide others back to themselves, who can embody the nervous system capacity necessary to facilitate true safety and connection in another human so that they can go into their depths, damn, those are going to be the ones who thrive. So if that's you, I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for listening. I hope this touched you. If you want some facilitation to become a little bit more embodied in your practice, check out the Embodied Creator Toolkit below. That'll guide you through all of the inner embodiment work, and also the vessel of how it shows up in your business as well. And it's fun. It's a series of experiments, practices, and things to get you literally in your body. So I appreciate y'all for tuning into this. Stay tuned for the next one, but in the meantime, subscribe and have a beautiful life. Ciao.